This podcast is brought to you by Contessa Digital.
Ever found yourself in like such a funk that it seems like no matter how hard you try to work, you just can't shake yourself of it? You're going through the motions, you're doing the things that you have to do, you're handling your job or your business, you're doing your best to make the time for family and friends and all that, but you just don't feel right. I had this experience recently where I tried to take a half an hour nap and ended up waking up 13 hours later. And I realized something that I have been in a funk for several months now. And that funk is burnout. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about burnout, what it means, and why healing our feminine energy is so important as a part of avoiding burnout. And I want to be very clear about what masculine and feminine energy are. Because, first of all, people have both. So, men have masculine energy and they have feminine energy. Women have masculine energy and we have feminine energy. And it's a matter of proportion and balance. So, heterosexual women tend to embody a little bit more feminine energy than masculine. Same with heterosexual men, they tend to embody a little bit more masculine than feminine. But both these energies are important. And when you think about these, I want you to think about them as structure and flow. So, masculine energy is all about structure. This is why women need to have masculine energy. Masculine energy is boundaries, it is ambitions and goals, it is the structure that puts things, that allows you to stay organized, that allows you to be on track. Feminine energy is all about flow. So it is authenticity, presence, creativity. And we live in a culture that has gotten increasingly toxic masculine, right? So when we talk about the patriarchy, the patriarchy hurts everyone, men and women, because one of the things that it promotes is hustle and grind culture. It promotes this idea that we work and work until we die. And it's not a matter of even working the hours. I will probably always work a fair number of hours because I have more than one passion and because I've managed to monetize pretty much all of my passions, right? But it is a matter of from what energy is all this work coming from? Is this coming from a place of, I love this, I enjoy this, and I feel like I'm doing meaningful work in all of my work, therefore it's worth it? Or is it coming from a place of, I feel like I need to hustle and grind and be the best at everything, and I feel like I need to do all of these things in order to get validation, in order to be appreciated, in order to be wanted? Because when your work, when the things that you do come from a place of external validation instead of internal, you are always setting yourself up for burnout because you are not allowing that feminine flow to happen. I want to be clear on what I experienced because maybe this will help you. I was feeling lazy all the time. I had all these goals, I had all these ambitions. I kept saying that I was going to do all these different things. And no matter how hard I tried, I just could not seem to get myself to actually do them. I would make lists, I'd make plans, I'd hire coaches to help me execute, and I just couldn't. And every time I even thought about executing, my immediate response was, I just want to take a nap. I just want to lay down and rest and sleep. And, I'll feel so much better after I sleep for an hour and then I'll really be able to get going. And of course, it never happened. I want you to know that if you're dealing with this, you're not lazy at all. So, as someone who has been a coach for 5, 6 years now, I had to do this myself. I had to go back to basics because I realized that the reason why I was dealing with all of this burnout was because I was not doing the things that I was teaching. I had gotten stuck into a rut, and oftentimes when we get in ruts, we end up falling back to our default patterns. All the work that we've done for ourselves, all the work that we've done on ourselves to heal our inner child, that stuff goes out the window and we fall back onto the things that we did before that were not serving us. This is why it's important to constantly be doing the work on yourself. And I had lost that check in with myself because I had stopped doing that. That is how I started to fall back on the default patterns of constantly hustling, constantly grinding. It really is generational for me. My mom is a workaholic to this day. She's very close to retirement age, but she still works a lot of hours. I saw her mother, my grandmother, work a lot of hours. It just became natural. I want to talk to you about some of the reasons why you may be feeling burned out and how your feminine energy plays into that. So, one is constantly giving people chances. Even when people disappoint you, even when people do something that goes against your boundaries and your standards, you give them chance after chance after chance to try to make it right. This is where your masculine energy comes in. Because remember, boundaries are masculine, they are structure. And when we have structure in place, then it gives us the safety and the freedom to have the flow, the creativity, and the expression. So we have to have those basic things in place in order for us to feel happy and at peace, and in order to operate at our most authentic selves. So, think about when you're in relationship with someone. Yes, especially romantic relationships, but also even, relationships with family members, with friends, with coworkers. When you truly feel safe with someone, you are yourself. You're able to, say the things that you want, express how you truly feel without really worrying about whether or not there are going to be some consequences to that. Whereas when you are not with a safe person, you constantly have your guard up. And you have your guard up just like you would have boundaries up. So when we put boundaries up, this is not cutting off a relationship with someone or punishing people for how they treat you. Boundaries allow you to be a better daughter, wife, girlfriend, friend, sister, whatever. They allow you to be better at those things because having that container gives you the freedom within that relationship to really be yourself and explore. The other thing is constantly trying to keep the peace. So, feminine energy, again, is all about flow and expression and good communication. So, if you are in situations where you can't speak up for yourself, where you feel like it's not safe for you to talk, then those are relationships that you don't need to be in, because in a healthy relationship, you are able to express yourself. Now, this does not give you free license to be a which with a capital B, right? But it does mean that there's a way that you can respectfully communicate with people what your boundaries are, what your standards are. There's a way that you can respectfully tell people how you feel. When you silence yourself, when you don't allow that expression to be felt, it sets you up for being burnt out when you are constantly trying to be someone that you're not. Being around people who don't reciprocate can also be a recipe for burnout. As women, it's natural for us to pour into others. That's a beautiful thing. And that is a quality that you should never lose, right? But if you are going to pour into others, it's important that people also pour into you. And if you're constantly giving and giving to others and you're not receiving anything in return, receiving is feminine energy. If you're not getting that from other people, then you start to feel resentful. You start to carry a weight. And again, you allow yourself to become burnt out. Another way that you are allowing yourself to become burned out is trying to save people who don't want to save themselves. If a person wants to change, they will only change when they get to a point where they are sick and tired of their own situation enough that they are actually willing to make moves. Now, once that person makes those moves, then of course, you can be there to encourage. You can be there to tell them to, hey, keep up the good work. You can, provide them with some resources if you want to. But then it's up to them to actually use those resources. If you have a friend or a partner who is chronically unemployed and then they make the decision that they actually want to work and become self-sufficient, then sure, you can point them towards some workshops to help them build resumes, or you can let them know that there's a job opening at XYZ company. But it needs to be up to them to actually attend that resume writing workshop. It needs to be up to them to actually go and apply for that job. But if people don't show you that they are putting in the effort themselves, you can't do it for them. You can't work harder than them at improving their own lives. And the other thing is being the go-to person when someone needs help. This is going to sound harsh, but you really should be towards the bottom of the list that people go to when they need help. And not because you're terrible. Like, you should be, I want you to be blessed beyond measure, right? So, I want you to have enough financial abundance for yourself and to give to others if that's what you choose to do. And I want you to be emotionally healthy. And I want you to be so understanding of yourself and of other people that you give great advice and that you can help people when they need it. However, you are also not just a constantly overflowing vessel, because what will happen is all of your flow, all of your feminine energy will flow right out of you and then flow onto empty ground. It's not flowing into other people because, again, to the previous point about people not wanting to help themselves or people not reciprocating. So it's flowing into this bottomless hole until you end up emptied out, right? So you should be the type of person where people know that they can go to you if they truly need it. However, you should also be the person that has the boundaries and the standards that people know that they're only going to you if they really truly need it. You have to take care of yourself first. And then once you take care of yourself and you are filled to the brim, then your overflow can go towards helping other people. So I just wanted to give you a few reasons for why you may be dealing with burnout because it's very common right now. I feel like the pandemic and then all the downturns with the economy, different things that have happened in politics, especially if you live here in the United States, have made for a very stressful past few years. But, there's nothing we can do to control governments, economies, political systems, but there's plenty that we can do to control how we treat ourselves and how we allow others to treat us. Hey there. So you made it all the way to the end of the episode, which means I have two things to say. One, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And two, you like me. You really like me. So I would appreciate it if you would show that like by subscribing to this podcast so that more people can hear about it and enjoy it as much as you do. And if you want to know more about any of the links that I mentioned on this episode or any guests that I've had, be sure to go to KeshiaRice.com/links. That's KeshiaRice.com/links. I can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode. So see you then.